Hey, Max Impactors. Welcome to the Max Impact Theory podcast. I'm Tim Rosanelli. I'm here with my producer, Justin Olivieri. Hey, Justin. What's going on?
Pretty good.
Pretty good? Yeah, we got a really good podcast today. And I wanted to just go over something that I just saw in the news. There's this I saw a video. And first off, it was on a great site. And I know you love it too, so I got to plug it a little bit. It's called McDojo Life, and it's on Instagram. If you want to see the funniest martial arts stuff ever and just the biggest BS martial arts stuff ever, you've got to get on their Instagram or Facebook and watch. But
yeah, it's pretty good.
This video that I saw was basically Justin Bieber with Ellen, and it had Tom Cruise yelling at him, and I didn't know what was going on, so I looked it up. And I guess I might be a little late on this one, but apparently Justin Bieber called Tom Cruise out
on Twitter.
On Twitter, for a UFC match. And it blew up. And I just recently saw that they were actually saying that it would be probably the top pursing UFC match ever if they did it. And Dana White's willing to actually do it. I even saw something with Conor McGregor saying that their group would help sponsor it. I mean, it's big. So my question is, what do you think? Justin Bieber? Should we go over the stats of, weight and height and things like that first?
Yeah, but before we get into that, so Justin Bieber called him out on Twitter and saying, hey, if you walk away from this or if you don't say yes, then you're going to be like, you're going to be a wimp and this, that, and the other thing. And then there's like talk about Tom Cruise actually like accepting it. Mm-hmm. And then he goes on and is like, no, I was just kidding. I'd be toast if we actually ever went in a ring together. Yeah. Still might happen, but
I think he made I think he did say something about Tom Cruise's Scientology. For Tom Cruise, that's like fighting words right there.
Yeah, trying to call him out with the big boy words.
Yeah,
Scientology and calling you a wimp.
So what do you think of a match between Justin Bieber and Tom Cruise?
I mean, I think it's Tom Cruise all the way.
Yeah.
He's older, but that's the only worry that I got. He's 56.
So you don't think he could go the distance?
Well, I'm just worried about more brittle bones, less stamina, less testosterone flowing through your body. Justin Bieber's still a young guy, so he's got all that, but Justin Bieber also looks like a wimp to me.
Well, I mean, Tom Cruise, he although he's older, he does all his stunts. I think he knows martial arts.
Yeah, he at least knows how to use his body well.
I know. I mean, and you to get into a ring with somebody, it's more than just knowing the skills, because from our martial arts experience, you kind of have to have some gonads to get into the ring and actually fight somebody, and there's a lot more psychologically going on than just the fight. And I think Tom Cruise has that.
Oh yeah,
hands down.
The other problem is if it actually happens, who's going to be training these guys? I know there's going to be a lot of people that'll want to train Tom Cruise because it's Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
And Floyd Mayweather's really good friends with Justin Bieber.
Oh,
they
really?
hang out a lot, apparently. So I don't know if I'd want a boxer that's known for like ducking and hiding and making sure he doesn't get hit.
Yeah.
In the boxing ring. Not that Floyd Mayweather isn't a good boxer, but like that's his style.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you'd want a boxer trying to teach you UFC, because then you got grappling and takedowns involved, and I don't know if
well, you need way more than that. Yeah. But a few things I saw that Tom Cruise apparently outweighs him by 20 pounds, which is a huge advantage.
Yeah.
Although Justin Bieber is, what was it, an inch or
2 inches taller.
2 inches taller,
so not really much of an advantage.
Yeah, not much of an advantage.
And that doesn't even say their wingspan, because you don't know how long their arms are. They could be 1 or 2 inches taller, and they can have shorter arms.
Yeah. But, 20 pounds is a huge difference. If you fall on somebody with an extra 20 pounds, they're going to have a harder time handling you than, somebody their own size.
The other thing I think is the workout ethic, because, Tom Cruise has had to look really good in lots of movies for a long time.
Yeah.
And Justin Bieber's always been like a skinnier, kind of like never like a cut guy.
Yeah.
But, so he probably has to work out ethic and the mentality, and he knows how to diet right. He knows how to work out right. He knows how to follow a workout, regimen, stuff like that. So I think he's got a little upper edge on, the conditioning and the preparation part too.
Tom Cruise is one intense dude too. I think he would go out and get the best trainers and stick with the plan. I think Justin Bieber might train a little, and he would be probably taking some, pot smoking breaks in between. You know what I mean? Like
it sounds like you're in favor for Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I definitely think Tom Cruise would take him. I mean, no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's the main thing. I watched the lines, and I don't know if it was Vegas, but they did some kind of lines on betting.
Yeah.
And the majority of the people think Tom Cruise would just take him.
I mean, the thing is I guess it really comes down to if Justin Bieber wants the money or not, right?
Yeah.
Well, or if Tom Cruise wants the money, if he just, wants to do it.
Yeah.
Because, like Dana White says, like, this is going to be the biggest purse, I think, ever.
Yeah.
But he also said, he's like, I don't think it's going to be a good fight. Like, it'll be an interesting fight, but I don't think it's going to be a good fight.
Yeah, I think it could be very quick.
Yeah.
Because how you get exhausted fairly, you can gas out super fast when you're doing something like that. So I just can't see Justin Bieber going the distance. I'm sorry.
I heard I forget, it was an interview for some UFC fighter. I forget his name. I think it was Ben. But so he was saying, fighting's a special sport. Like, if those two challenge each other to, like, one-on-one street basketball, nobody'd want to watch it. If they challenge each other to, like, hockey, tennis, any other sport, nobody'd be interested. But there's something about people who don't know how to fight or aren't known for fighting. You kind of just want to see who wins, because it could look ridiculous and still be more entertaining than, like, two professionals going at it.
Yeah. I remember years ago there was a match. I think it was a Howard Stern show, and I think it was his producer at the time, Baba Booey, and what was his name? Stutter and John. And they did like a boxing match, and they actually trained for it and everything.
Oh, okay.
And it wasn't the greatest fight, but for some reason you wanted to watch it.
Yeah. It's because it's two people. You're like, okay, I really just want to, like, when nobody knows the outcome, you just want to know what the outcome is.
Yeah, and I think because they always verbally jabbed each other. You're like, well, let's see what a real jab would look like in that. So I think it would be a fun fight to watch. So we'd probably be one of the people paying for it.
Oh yeah, pay per view. We'd be having a big party.
Yeah.
Watch the fight last. It's one of those fights where it's like somebody gets in a lucky shot or a good shot if it's Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
And, like, the fight only lasts, like, 30 seconds. Or you got, like, these two guys just, like, swinging and tiring themselves out. So it's, like, goes the distance, and they're just, like, drooling on the mat and, like, slumped over.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It sounds like it would be a good thing. I hope it happens.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into our next topic. So, you brought up this article, and and it's on this website. I think it's called Ask Men.
Ask Men.
And
all your manly questions, they got answers.
I don't know about this website, because I was looking at some of the other articles, and it appears to have possibly some political agendas to it, and I don't really want to go into the political part because this isn't really a political commentary. But this article, it's called "Obsolete Man Skills You Should Ditch." So it was written by a guy named
Obsolete Skills for Men.
Yeah, it's like, that we should get rid of.
Yeah.
And it was written by Ian Stober, I think. Stober. It looks like Stober.
Freaking Ian Stubble.
And again, I think that there's like a little political undertone to this, the whole idea of toxic masculinity. But I'm going to kind of avoid that part of it in our discussion. I just want to go over what man skills he talked about and what replacements he had for them, and kind of give our opinion on it, because my opinion is nothing to do with, I don't think, manliness, just kind of the pure stupidity of this article. I mean,
so you're not a fan of Ian Stubble, huh?
Well, I've never read his article before, and if you didn't hand this to me, I probably would have never found it on that website. But now that I'm looking at it, I'm just thinking how terribly dumb these ideas are. So let's go over to them one by one, and we can talk about them. So the first one is he basically gives one skill that is a man skill, and then he gives you a replacement for it. So the first one is hunting, and he said instead we should cook, which I don't. To tell you the truth, I don't understand what the thing about cooking is. I don't see. I could see both of these things being a good thing, but the thing that let's start with the hunting part of it. First off, he condones not hunting over getting factory farmed meat, and so he's saying that it's okay to eat meat, but we should not, actually see the kill. Now, Justin, you know that I'm a big hunter, so
yeah, I've hunted before as well,
and you have too.
Yeah,
and so maybe I'm a little, my opinion's a little slighted to the side, but what I know about hunters is most of them not only hunt, but they also cook. And they know how to cook the meat very well. The game meat they get.
Most hunters, it's hunt clean, cook.
Yeah, I know. And if you look at any hunter on Instagram, they're always featuring not only the hunting part, but they're always featuring also how they prepare the food and things like that.
Really tasty.
And I don't see where this guy could say that, like, farm factory meat, kind of taking yourself away from the kill, but still eating the meat. I really don't know where he's going with this.
Yeah.
Because I find that hunting has always made me feel more kind of, connected to what I eat. It actually makes you more conscious when you do eat meat that's not stuff that you hunted.
I think when you hunt too, you appreciate more where your food comes from.
Exactly.
Because so when you actually take the life of an animal, you actually have more respect for where your food came from. Like, you get a burger or you get, some kind of dinner from a restaurant. You didn't see the animal. You don't know where they got the food from. So if it goes bad in your fridge after leftovers and stuff like that, you're not too worried about it. But, I know when we get something that somebody that we know's hunted or that we have hunted, that we make sure we use every bit of it we can. There's nothing goes to waste. We make sure we eat it, just because you have more respect for the animal that, that's no longer living so that you can eat.
Yeah, exactly. Most hunters have way more respect, I think, for the animals they hunt, and the fact that something did die in order for you to feed yourself and your family. And I don't think buying factory farmed food or meat is going to give people the same feeling as you would get from, hunting food yourself. And why would we want to lose all these skills? Why would you want to lose that skill? What happens if for some reason you have a situation like Venezuela where, there is no food? Wouldn't you want to have a little bit of knowledge in how to produce your own food?
Yeah.
I think that, so that's why I think that first one's, really dumb.
Yeah.
So let's go into the second one. Let's see. Oh, okay. So the second one should be a good one because this is coming from two, martial arts instructor. So he says to give up fighting or learning martial arts, basically, and instead learn how to meditate. So I don't know where the two are related, but what do you think?
I think if little Billy wants to punch little Jimmy in the face, little Jimmy can't get out of that situation by meditating.
Yeah, I think that would probably be the worst way to get out of this situation. Yeah. Now, most of these things, I think, personally, are great. I meditate myself, but that doesn't mean that it's going to help you in a situation that learning the martial arts will, because as you know, the more passive you are, the more passive you are, criminals look for people with passive behavior. And I always hate when people give advice from the perspective of everybody playing by the same rules. In other words, criminals don't play by the same rules.
Yeah.
And he's saying, well, we don't need fighting anymore because everybody's going to follow the law. But that's not true. Criminals automatically don't follow the law.
Exactly. And it's also when people are trying to hurt you, right? It is better to be trained in some kind of self-defense to give yourself a better chance to get out of that situation. And a lot of these skills in this article, I think the ones he says that are obsolete aren't obsolete. We should definitely have them.
Yeah.
But also the ones that he said you should do instead, you should also have those as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I think he's just given a bunch of good examples of skills you should have. Not some of them are obsolete and some of them are something that you should train towards. I think all of them are good skills to have.
Yeah, yeah. And, so, I mean, I don't think maybe he means going out to bars and getting into fights. Now, I could agree that that's not probably the best path to take. But as for actually learning some of the skills of martial arts, there's only a positive upside to that, not only for self-protection, but, in personal development. And I don't think there's any negative things for meditation. I think that meditation is also a good practice, but I don't think that you should do one or the other exclusively.
I mean, if you've ever seen a bar fight, there's not much skill going on. So
yeah.
I doubt they were practicing.
So the next one, is repairing your car. And what was he saying to do instead? Oh, okay. This is a good one. Learn how to code. So, all right. So, I don't even know how to unpack this one. Because,
don't fix your car. Learn to code.
Yeah, because I mean, weren't people thrown off of like YouTube and
Twitter.
stuff and Twitter for
saying hashtag learn to code?
So he's telling people to code. So I don't know, I don't know how these two are associated because I have nothing against learning how to code if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's a better skill or worse skill than learning how to repair a car.
You can make a lot of money doing both. Both are economically, helpful, and they're also both something very useful that you can use.
Oh yeah.
Outside of a workplace. Like if you want to make your own app to fulfill a need that you have or a need that you see, you can make a lot of money off that.
Yeah.
Or if you just want to repair your own car or your friend's car because they might not have enough money to pay, a mechanic.
Now, I'm not saying that you have to learn how to repair a car because, I've done a lot of car repairs. My grandfather was, an auto mechanic. My brother works for a auto parts store, and
but it's definitely not obsolete.
Yeah, it's not obsolete. No, and I don't enjoy doing a lot of the work because I find it kind of frustrating at times. But I do know a lot about it, and I've done a lot of my own repairs. But I think that knowing something about it is pretty important.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because if you don't know anything about it, it's very easy to get ripped off.
And I mean, it's not even like, you have to learn how to like rebuild a transmission or something like that. Like even just a simple thing of learning how to change your tire.
Yeah.
It's not like a lot of people don't even know how to change their tire.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we had that's a perfect lead in because, one day I was here at my house and it was in the middle of January, single digit temperatures, and some guy was sitting outside of our house and apparently
we were just coming home from work.
Yeah, yeah, and Justin had to stop by here and get something, and this guy was sitting out there for an hour or something, and he was in pajamas, didn't have the right amount of clothes on. Apparently, he got a flat tire, and when he got the flat tire,
it was windy too.
Yeah,
it was cold out.
It was brutal. I mean, I remember being in a coat and thinking how cold it was, and then he got back into his car, and his battery was dead. So we, did his battery. We jumped his battery, and then we thought it was done. And I went inside, and I just remember looking at the spare tire and saying, that spare tire doesn't look right. And he tried to drive on it, and then here I found out that the kid had put the spare tire on backwards. So I had to come out, and I actually taught the kid how to put a spare tire on.
Yeah, he was. Well, how old do you think he was? Like at least like 19, 20 years old, something like that.
Yeah, he was probably in his early 20s, and he said the reason why he was just going from one development that was down the street to his house that was maybe a half a mile away, and didn't expect to all of a sudden have a flat tire. That's why he was in pajamas.
Yeah,
he was coming from his girlfriend's house, and he ended up outside my house, and he's pretty lucky that I was home because. Yeah, I think that kid. He didn't have his phone either.
No, he was just sitting there.
Yeah, he forgot his phone, or he left his phone somewhere, so he was totally stranded and
in a development. But he didn't know anybody.
He tried to knock on doors to other people, and nobody answered the door. And he didn't knock on my door because my car was in my garage, and he didn't think anybody was home.
Yeah.
And I went out there and helped him, and I showed him. He said, "Man, my dad, he never showed me how to change tires and stuff like that." Because he never did it. So our friend Ian here, he would have the son that was sitting outside our property and needing help.
Yeah, Mr. Stubble thinks that guy should, say it's obsolete and you didn't know how to.
Yeah.
Everybody just be sitting around in the cold looking at that tire saying, well.
Yeah, I guess you got to get a new car.
Well, the other thing is like, so my brother, instead of spending the money, he decided to learn the skills of changing his tie rods, his shocks, his brakes, his rotors, all that things. He got a couple tools to do it. And now, if anything happens with that, I just, hey, Ryan, you want to help me fix my car?
Yeah.
It saved tons of money. Like, you just have to buy the parts.
Oh, yeah.
And, you don't have to pay the labor.
Yeah, well, my brother, he works for a parts place so he can get parts cheap. And I go over before inspections, and he helps me go, and we look at everything because when you go to a mechanic, they could rip you off.
Yeah,
so
true.
I go in there and we check to make sure the brakes are good. If they're not, we change them. He checks everything. We check everything else so that when we go to get the inspection, we know that it should pass. And I had situations where I don't know. Did I ever tell you about the time that one of the dealerships really tried to rip us off?
Yeah, because I used to go to the same place.
Oh yeah.
You convinced me not to go there anymore. He's like, oh yeah, they did this. So
well, they tried to.
Oh yeah.
We had a problem with a light coming on, and they said the engine light meant that there was something wrong with our coolant system, and it was going to cost us like $3,000 to fix this coolant system. And then they said that it's possible that it overheated our engine, and that it was going to cost us possibly another up to $9,000 to get the car fixed. And I talked to my brother, and he said that's the wrong code for that kind of work. And I brought it back, and there was one little valve. My brother said, just change this valve and see what happens. We changed that valve. It cost me $50, and that's what worked. So they tried to charge me over $3,000 for something that only cost $50.
Whether that's negligence or purposely trying to rip you off.
Yeah.
If you didn't have somebody that knew how to work on cars, then you would have been out $9,000.
Yeah, well, Ian would either be out $9,000 or this dealership tried to sell us a new car, so he probably would have just bought the new car.
Mr. Stubble probably would have had a lot more money in his pocket if he knew things about cars. Unless he doesn't have one. I don't know where he lives, but there are some places like New York and California, like inner city, where, you're not having a car because you can just have public transit and stuff like that.
I think that's part of what he says in here is you don't need to learn how to repair a car because you could just take the bus or the subway somewhere. But
I can't take a bus to work.
Yeah. We live in the middle, we live out in the suburbs here, and there is no, you would need to drive to the bus.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I heard somebody say like, oh yeah, so the guy's in the middle of Nevada. I need to go to another part of Nevada. Let me take a bus to the other part of Nevada.
Yeah.
Like, there's no buses out in Nevada going that way.
Exactly. So, I think part of the problem with this article is that his perspective is from a very small view of the world. Maybe he lives in a city and doesn't really think about how other people in the world, there's people like in Alaska, they're not going to, they almost need to learn some of these skills just because it's not very easy to go out and just have it done.
Yeah.
So here's another good one. fixing things at home.
Oh,
So-
that's an obsolete skill, huh?
Yeah, that's an obsolete.
Oh my goodness.
And the instead he says, learn how to decorate. Now I have nothing against decorating in the house,
No.
and
I do it at the dojo all the time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have to do some of that stuff at the dojo.
Whether it
Personally,
looks good or not.
Personally, I have nothing against decorating, but personally, in my married life, my wife likes doing that, so I let her do that.
Oh, does she love decorating?
Yeah, she does, and she does a great job. She would do a way better job than I do. But fixing things at home, it kind of ends up in my, I do a lot of the fixing things at home.
Yeah, that's your repertoire.
Yeah, and the thing, I don't get where this guy says that this is an obsolete skill, because I mean, fixing things at home, I fix so many things at home and save so much money just by looking up things on YouTube. You can fix something and save yourself tons of money. I mean,
Yeah.
It's just incredible how much you can save just doing it yourself.
Oh yeah. Plus, like, just every little thing that you had broken and you didn't try to fix.
Yeah.
You know how many times you'd be buying new things?
You know how annoying it would be it's kind of annoying if you can fix something right there. It's kind of annoying if everything you do at home, you have to call somebody and wait till they are available to come out. Sometimes I just want things fixed right now, and it's something that if you have just a little bit of skill, you can do.
With all of these, I feel like I'm an obsolete man.
Yeah,
If I'm not supposed to learn how to fight, if I'm not supposed to learn how to fix things, if I'm not supposed to, what was the other one?
Yeah, it's pretty much everything we do.
If I'm not supposed to, any of that, then, that's pretty much my whole life. So I'm an obsolete man at that point.
So what do you do when you become an obsolete man? Do you just play video
live,
games all the time?
I live in the obsolete world, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know what you would do. The other thing you have to ask yourself with these skills is there's an opportunity cost. What do you do with your time instead of these things? I could be watching TV.
Well, you're coding, aren't you?
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'm
I'm coding full time now. But I could be. I mean, maybe if you were doing something that was earning you money and you didn't have time, yeah, okay, have somebody else do it. But I have a feeling that Ian might be sitting at home, playing video games or trolling on the Instagram feed a little too much, and
instead of sitting in the woods watching nature while he's waiting for that big trophy buck to walk
there
by.
you go. That sounds more like me. But I just think that he would just be wasting it. He might be just wasting his time, and there's a big opportunity cost where he could have saved some money, but instead he spends money on getting these things done while he sits around doing something that's less important.
Yeah, coding and decorating.
Coding and decorating.
And cooking something that somebody else killed.
The other thing I have to bring up, and I think we were talking about this a few months ago. This could probably be a whole nother episode of our podcast. Fixing things at home is that there was a study done by a faucet company. I think it was
light bulb study.
Yeah, the light bulb study.
Oh man.
So they found out, they were wondering why millennials weren't buying stuff as much at Home Depot. And they found out from their study.
They're too busy coding and decorating.
Yeah,
and taking the bus. They couldn't take the bus to Home Depot. They didn't have a bus stop there.
Yeah, maybe they didn't have a bus stop at Home Depot. That's right. But they found out 6 out of 10 millennials can't change a light bulb. And I thought that was ridiculous. I couldn't even.
6 out of 10.
6 out of 10.
That's over half.
Yep, 60% were unable to change.
Where are these guys at? I'm going to start a light bulbing change company.
And yeah, there you go. There you go. And the thing about the study was, I was watching this as a video, and they were talking to landlords, and they said the landlords were saying when they would go in after somebody would move out, that they would have to change a lot of light bulbs, that these kids would actually, well, I shouldn't say kids, they're young adults, right? But they would
other Ians.
Yeah, they would be too embarrassed to ask the landlord to change the light bulb, so that instead of changing the light bulbs, they would wait till a lot went out, and they would actually switch apartments or, living to a new place so that they had their light bulbs changed. Now, that is just a total waste of time and effort just to not change a light bulb.
My light bulb changing company wouldn't have much money to start up. You need a tank of gas so you can get around for your first couple payments. You need to buy a ladder, although I have a ladder already. I mean, they have this light bulb changing apparatus that goes on the end of a pole, and so you clamp it and you twist it, and then you pull it down. You put the new one up. I don't even need a ladder for some of them. I need a screwdriver to take some of the things off, but that's a really small startup cost.
Wait, you should make it a subscription service.
Yeah,
$5, and then you just have to once a month you go around and change all the light bulbs whether they need it or not.
You can make me an app for it.
There you go. That's how you learn to code, right?
Yeah, you can make me an app, or I could just learn to code. Ian, not all your ideas are bad, but you can learn to code and make an app for it.
Yeah. The millennial study, they said that that I forget what it was. It was like 70 or 80% of millennials can't tell the difference between a regular head screwdriver and a Phillips head screwdriver, which
man.
To me that just blows my mind, it just blows my mind.
I don't care if you say it right. We used to call them straight heads in Phillips. I think it's actually standard in Phillips.
Yeah.
But I don't care what you call it. You should at least know the difference.
Yeah.
One's a cross and one's a line.
But what do you think they would say? Like, would the millennial go, yeah, the one with the little cross on it? I don't know. Did they even know that much about it?
I don't know. I want to know where they're finding these millennials.
Yeah, because you are a millennial, and I've never met any of these guys. I'm kind of wondering maybe if this is kind of like a city type of millennial.
Silicon Valley.
Yeah, Silicon Valley.
They're too busy coding. They don't know the difference between
I think
screwdriver.
I always wondered, and I have to talk to some of these people, but it seems like some of these things are almost like below them. Like they think that, I went to college, so I shouldn't have to do these kind of skills. It's kind of like it's kind of below me, so somebody else should do it for me. I don't know. Is that the attitude you think they have about it?
I don't know. I don't know anymore. I really don't.
Well, let's go on to the next one. So he said the obsolete skill.
Another obsolete skill. There's more?
Being a leader.
Oh, this sounds like a power play to me. It does. It's like, hey, guys, being a leader, it's not all it's cracked up to be. Being a leader, you don't want to be a leader. It's an obsolete skill.
I know.
Let me be the head follower. Let me be the head follower. You don't want to be a leader. I'm the head follower, so you follow me.
The head follower, wouldn't they just follow? I don't know. That's a good
head follower. That means he's still the leader, right?
Well, they're saying that instead learn how to collaborate. Now, I don't know how this would. When you have a group of people, even from when you were in school or in high school doing a project, there was always somebody that stepped forward to be the leader because not everybody wants to be the leader.
Yeah.
And I understand the idea of collaborating, but even when you're collaborating, there's usually somebody who's kind of the stepping forward and being the leader.
I mean, my boss just delegates collaboration. That's his job. All right, you do this and you do that, and you guys figure out how this works.
Wait, your boss, me?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a boss's job. You're supposed to delegate collaboration.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I think collaboration is a great thing because I always like to hear the opinion of, the feet on the street. But at the same time, I think that I don't think that being a leader in life is obsolete in any way.
No, and even in a collaboration, somebody has to be the end of the conversation. Like if you have an idea and I have an idea and we're supposed to be collabing, somebody's idea's got to go over the other person's idea.
Yeah.
And so therefore that person becomes the leader, and from what it sounds like, he's saying nobody should be in charge. Everybody should just be getting along together and have,
that
form an idea together. But the thing is like ideas, there's going to be multiple ideas in a collaboration, and somebody needs to be the one that says
yes or no.
Yes or no. And even if you do a popular vote, like, all right, 3 yeses and 4 nos, that means that there's 4 leaders, right? Because they're the ones who said.
I don't know. And maybe they're talking about like authoritative type of boss or but there is two types of leadership. There's people that have, positional power, which positional power would be your boss. They're, a higher position than you in the corporate structure. And then you have personal power, which is, people who step up to an occasion and become the leader. And I think, even a collaborative situation, you're going to have somebody who has that personal power and is going to step up to the plate.
Yeah, there's leaders and followers. I don't think being a leader is an obsolete skill. It's definitely a skill, but I doubt it's ever going to be obsolete.
All right. Well, let's do one more of these. There is 7, but I mean, the last one is just holding in your emotions. I don't know. That's just too touchy-feely.
Is
for
that
me
a
to
skill?
Even, talking. Yeah, I don't think that's a skill.
I thought that's just what us men do.
Now, this one, number 6, being a disciplinarian is an obsolete skill.
Oh, man.
And instead, learn how to communicate with your children.
I mean, isn't disciplining communication?
I don't really get that one because I agree that you should communicate with your kids.
Sounds like Ian doesn't have kids.
Yeah. I
don't have a kid yet.
Yeah.
But I've worked in daycare since I was 16.
Yeah.
And so I've worked with a lot of kids. Kid
And
doesn't want to listen. You tell them no. They still don't want to listen. You put them in timeout. That's discipline.
Yeah. And I've been teaching, karate for 27 years. And I found that, when you see a kid, he's almost assuming that if a kid starts misbehaving, like there's always this thought in your mind, like maybe if I ignore it, he's going to self-correct.
Yeah.
And in those situations, especially in a class situation, one kid, you ignored one kid, next thing you know, all of them are doing it, and then you have a big problem. I find that, maybe if you address the issue right away, that you kind of cut it off at the pass before it becomes bad.
Yeah.
And that's, that might be being a disciplinarian, but at the same time, it keeps things, a little bit more, I don't know. I just can't see where just communicating would be enough.
All right, Ian, this is the way it works. Children are not robots. You can't have them doing something wrong and then code it out of them.
Yeah. Maybe programs.
Maybe you can code it out of them, but real world scenario is the code correction for misbehaviors, timeout, or taking something away.
Yeah.
Discipline is the code correction.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, until we have robots for kids where we're just coding the kids, which would probably be very boring, I think, because I kind of like the variety that you get without that.
Even just down to the point, like, you discipline your kids because they're not allowed to do anything they want. Just like we can't do anything we want. We're adults. We have more freedom than kids do.
Yeah.
Not really, because they have school and we have work.
Yeah.
And work takes more hours up. But we can't just do anything, and there's consequences. So they might as well learn at a young age, so it's not like a culture shock when they turn 18 or, whenever they move out of the house, to be like, oh, wait, I can't do whatever I want?
Yeah.
There's people that are still telling me what to do. Where do I get away from this? Well, you better build a cabin in the woods away from everybody else. That's the only time people can still tell you what to do from there. They just got to come out to you.
Yeah.
But then at that point, you kind of have to learn how to hunt.
Yeah, you can't have the
your
inmates
own things.
That
take care of your camp transportation and fix it.
Yeah. That saying about like letting the inmates run the asylum. You just can't have the kids running your household, because it is your household, and there's obviously going to be rules. But talking about Ian, you said he didn't have any kids. I noticed that most of his other articles have to do with dating, so I'm assuming that he's in the single and dating. So maybe he should wait till he has kids before he tells people how to raise them.
Both of us are a lot more successful at dating than him, because we're both married, right?
Yeah, I guess that would be.
So I guess,
Well, maybe his next article will say how that marriage is obsolete or something like that, I'm sure.
Marriage is obsolete. Just date for the rest of your life. He probably gets paid by Tinder to say that.
Probably. I actually think there was an article about something that had to do with Tinder.
Don't make plenty of fish obsolete.
So
keep your matches on Match.com.
So, Ian, Okay, I think
Mr. Stubble.
Yeah, I think we've talked about your article enough, and hopefully you learned something, because there's a lot more things that maybe you don't understand that you need to. So
go outside.
yeah. Get away from the computer. Stop coding.
Go from point A to point B without a bus.
Yeah, and make sure that you see what the real world looks like a little bit. All right, guys. Well, this is Tim Rosanelli here with Justin Olivieri. And
the obsolete man.
Yeah, the two obsolete men signing off. And, if you haven't, make sure you subscribe to our channel. And, we'll see you in the next episode.
Have a good one, guys.